Okay, Dynamite Delight. I'm not going to wait to the end of this review to say how I feel. I wish this didn't happen. It's not the title of my video, but you can see the title. I wish this wasn't done here. It was done at World End. But let's make it clear. There's only one reason this happened. They were in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. That's why. That's the only reason. That's the only reason this happened. Because we wouldn't have had this match, and it should have been saved for World's End. I'm just saying it. Because if we're still having the story, which could have been nice, going into next year, counting on if they had booked something different, I really do believe this would have been better to wait until the end of the year on the 30th. But you already know they weren't going to do it. So let's look at what we got here. We got a decent show. Opening, Moxley versus Roosh. Moxley had roughly, well, how many points did Moxley have? This is the Gold League. Moxley had 6 points. Roosh. Here's the thing about Roosh. I do like him. And seeing Vaughn with him, and I forgot the other wrestler's name, the other luchador. It's interesting to see them there, but it's like, even though it's good to see Roosh and Paxton Vaughn, I believe. It's been so long since I thought about his name. The former 10. And the other partner, it's like, what are we really getting from these guys? Do we really have a faction here? Do we need them? Think about this for a minute. AEW, when they first started, had so many factions. It was ridiculous. Now, they've basically dropped down the factions. And what factions they have left, are they really important? Roosh's faction doesn't really feel that important. So I'm kind of wishing Vaughn, Roosh, and Luke, I forgot what his name is, the guy that is also working with Roosh. And I'm sure someone's going to tell me this is his name. I'm going to say, I'm sorry. Sometimes if I don't see him enough, I don't remember the name. But I feel like that faction should be basically disbanded. It's not necessary. I'd rather see Roosh by himself. I'd rather see Vaughn by himself. And I'd rather see the other guy by himself. We need more singles wrestlers to be, particularly that we have so many titles that are in AEW that they're not getting rid of. Now, Moxley did win against Roosh. I wasn't surprised. But was it a bad match? No. But there were a couple of moments where that match looked sloppy. And easily, Moxley could have been hurt. Or Roosh could have been hurt. I think Moxley could have been hurt more than Roosh because he landed very awkwardly on his right shoulder or his left. But it was alright. And now Moxley has 9 points. The first to get 9 points. Roosh is still at 3. Now the second of the 3 Gold League matches was Mark Briscoe, do like him, and Strickland. Now let's make it clear. He was going to win automatically. We know he was going to win. There's no way. He's got way too much momentum since the death match. And if anybody, and I know someone said below, dude, he's always been over. No. No, he wasn't always over. No matter how much you want to say, when he was in Hit Row in WWE, he was over in NXT. That don't mean nothing. He got kicked out very quickly. Then when it came to AEW, he wasn't over that much. And particularly even working with Keith Lee, who wasn't over that much either. He wasn't over. Here, he is over. And Prince Nana, I'm sorry, I was never into the dance. But now that he has gotten that bitch over, I respect him. He didn't quit doing that dance. He made sure that he did that dance and always made sure he did that dance. I think he got a little bit of Telly Long in him. Yeah. Holla, holla, pale. I had to say it. I'm sorry. I had to say it. But that match was better than the Moxley and Roosh match. I felt like it was much better. It was. And it was upsetting to see that now Mark Briscoe is no longer in the running for the title. He's just not going to make it to the end of the Continental Classic and win. He's lost 3 times. He has no points, but he is allowed to continue being in the competition for the next 2. Probably going to try and win the opportunity to come back next year. That's what I think they're trying to say when it comes to match. Do I believe that was a good thing? It is a competition, and it's a rolling robin, I believe they called it. I can understand why they do it. It's still to spotlight the person that lost and helps to get the next person over, whoever they want to get over. I did like the match the best. Now, I want to make this clear, making it clear. The person that made the match the best was not Swerve. It was Mark. I'm sorry, Mark Briscoe made the match. And it was due to the fact that he was able to sell enough to make Swerve's work mean something. Now, did he sell enough for Mark? No. And I've said this for years. I don't hate Swerve. He's got a good look. He's got the gift to talk. He's got the charisma. He's got good in-ring work. But it's not complete either, because he doesn't want to sell, which I've said that multiple times, or he just can't sell that well. It's one or the other. I'm telling you, he goes from one moment to another to another. It angers me to see that Swerve has that weakness or has that attitude. I don't know which one it is. I'm not angry that I hate him. I'm just angry that it's there, because he's a very good all-around wrestler. He's got almost all 5 tools that are necessary. The only thing he isn't is he's not a ring general. He just isn't. But it doesn't mean he can't work the match well. It just really angers me that if he just can't sell correctly, he really needs work on it if he can ever get it. And if he's doing it because he just, look, I'm not going to sell as much as you want me to sell. I'm going to sell maybe a tiny, tiny bit. That's stupid. That's how you hurt your opponent. You're going to get them over as much as yourself. I'm just saying. Now, MJF and Samoa Joe versus the Devil Guys. Didn't happen. Supposedly, the Devil Mask guys showed up on big screen, and that was after the lights flickered and Samoa Joe's in the ring, and pretty much a couple of guys were trying to jump at him, but did not jump in the ring to attack him. There were just distractions, so supposedly MJF gets nailed with a beer bottle. Yes, you can see it on the floor when the title's on the floor with the beer bottle. And he just gets nailed flat out, and then Joe runs up the ramp to check him, because that's still what he's wanting. He wants that match with him. And yes, we did get that talk. And it is something to think about. I mean, they're talking about it's going to be Adam Cole, and everyone. But then you're wondering if the Elite are going to be doing it as well. Because having a Adam Hangman Page, the way he was talking to MJF, it also makes you wonder. I'm not saying that Kenny Omega's involved. I'm not. But I wonder if Adam and the Bucks are involved with someone that we have not seen in a while. And it could be that. Excuse me. It could be them. Now, I know no one else is going to say this. They're going to say, it's Adam Cole. Of course, it's going to be what happened with and I am coming to the, Adam! I am coming to strong, just saying it. But it does make you wonder if it could also be the Elite. That's just me. I'm sure they're going to say, no, it's Adam Cole, it's Roderick Strong, and it's the Kingdom. They're all working together. They're still going to probably say it. But if they do say what I'm thinking, that the Elite is involved in this, and they added one extra person that we didn't see that is now a part of it, I wouldn't be too surprised. Now let's get to the next strong. Let's say it like this. Roderick Strong made it very clear that he's not going to make any more excuses. He made it very clear that there's always been an excuse, something in the way, and I always took responsibility for it. Now I'm not taking responsibility for it because I'm going to make sure I'm next strong. Pretty much that's what he was saying. And then he finally takes responsibility by getting out of the wheelchair and having, who was it? Mike Bennett throw it down into the crowd, well, near the crowd where the retaining wall is. The gates. And I'm going finally, the question's I can't remember what the chant was when he did that. But essentially speaking, the only thing left will be the neck brace. The question is, what are we going to get from this situation? If they are the devil guys, then we know what's going to happen. If they're not the devil guys, what's next? Moving on. Marsha, I believe her name is Marsha. Marsha May. I got to say this. She's green when it comes to talking. She was sloppy when she was coming to talking. But does she have the proper look? Yes. She looks like she should be working with tasteless, my tasteless Tony Storm. And she does have the look to go with Luther and Storm. I have no problem with it. But she does need work when it comes to doing promos. She's still a bit choppy. She's worked in Japan, so they don't really have promos that much there. I mean, not in English. It's always going to be, to a certain extent, they will have promos there, but you know what I mean. And I am not having a problem with it. I'm not. Just like when it came to Strickland and Moxley, that was a little later in the night, a little after this, I had no problems with Moxley facing a Swerve Strickland, both now 9-9, and they are going to meet each other next week. And I have no problem with this because, one, Mox needs to help Strickland because Strickland is over. But since he is basically the mainstay and he hasn't taken a break, guys, I want to say this clear, very clear. I am proud of Jon Moxley going to rehab when he didn't need to go because he hadn't lost total control of himself yet. But he chose to go to rehab because he wanted a better life for Renee and his daughter. I commend him. And I'm glad that he realized, I got an issue here. I got to straighten it out on my own. But the thing is that when it comes to Moxley, he's taken almost no time off. Hell, once he got the concussion, that was the only other time he took a break. I was hoping that he would take a full break, give time, and then come back. It hasn't happened. Hasn't happened. So seeing that Swerve has to be put over by the mainstay of the company next to Bryan Danielson, it makes the most sense. It does. Now, let's make this clear. The World Heavyweight Champion of, I'm going to use her real name, Timeless Toni Storm. She's tasteless to me. She's tasteless. That's my girl. She's tasteless, Toni Storm. I love her. In black and white, coming down, pulling that, well, let's make it very clear. She has studied how women from the 40s and 50s do their business. She had to. The way she's acting is something they would do back in the 1940s and 50s, kind of around the time when my mother was in her teens and 20s. Yeah. My mother was born in the 1920s. The very end of it. And the 40s and 50s is when she was a teenager to an adult. So all the actors and actresses, I'm saying it, actors and actresses, they had a certain type of look and style. And I'm not saying she's taken everything from them going, but she is exaggerating most of what they did, particularly when they did any photo shoots or when they did anything on film. She just taken at least enough to really make herself mean something. The crowd loves her. I love her. She's one of the only women that's been developed from scratch into something good. And she went up against Sky Blue, which she was interesting when she was trying to go after the TBS championship. But now, what is she? I don't know. She still acts like Sky Blue, maybe a bit more edgier with all the paint on her eyes, but they really haven't developed her any further than that. So she either needs more development or they're just going to leave her as she is, which I think is a waste of time. They need to do something with her because she is one of the favorites there. People do like her. And they had a good match. But she jobs. She gets her butt cleaned by a tasteless Toni Storm. But it's not over. Toni Storm wins. She rolls out of the ring a Sky Blue. But guess who shows up? Someone that I hadn't seen in a while. Someone that looks like she had a little bit of a boob job. I'm not saying she did. I'm just saying, you guys tell me below. And I'm not trying to be sexist or over-sexualizing anything. But we have not seen Riho in a while. And Riho, she's a small, maybe 110, 115 pound woman. No, wait. She was, no, not 110, 115, about nearly 100 pounds. She's like between 98 to 110 pounds somewhere, I think. You tell me, she was never showing breasts before. Not because she's just a little girl, she's in her 20s. But her boobage was smaller than that. So it looks like she had her breasts a little bit larger. And I'm going like, wait a minute. She never looked like she had breasts that big before. I'm not saying she was totally flat, but someone decided to do something. And now she's going after a Toni Storm's title, where she's looking at her like, and I have to say this. Am I feeling it? Because of Rio being so intricate to AEW, I could buy her coming back and going against a Toni Storm. But the problem's going to be the same thing that goes for all, what is it, shoujo or shoji? Women's wrestlers. They don't book them correctly by letting them build a character. Emi Sakura, I'm going to keep repeating over and over again because she has a gimmick. She's a queen, and they don't do nothing with it on maybe on ROH-TV, yeah, but Dynamite, no. They don't try to give her some type of interview. I never seen her on Collision have an interview. I don't know if they do it on Rampage. Maybe they do it in ROH because that's where she probably works, but I'm just not going to feel Riho. Doesn't mean that she won't give her a great match, but there's no story. She just comes back and now she's challenging. Let's move on. The Battle of the Jays. Jay White versus Jay Lethal. I'm going to tell you the truth. This wasn't a very good match. I'm telling you the truth right now. Jay Lethal, I love Jay Lethal. I really do. I really do love Jay Lethal. I do. But here's the truth, guys. This is the skimmy. Jay Lethal and Jay White, they botched a bit in the match. But you can tell one person in that match wasn't feeling it. Jay White was not feeling it. And I don't know if it's true about the rumors that Jay White is not happy about the creative direction he's in. He's frustrated. Kind of like what happened with Drew McIntyre in real life, guys. Drew McIntyre has not resigned yet. And it has already been somewhat reported in rumor that he's frustrated. Not because of the storyline with CM Punk and everything and Randy Orton. But in actuality, before they reappeared, he was actually frustrated. And I don't blame him. They're not really doing a lot with him. At least as far as they're going until now, where they're trying to make him a destroyer. But now Jay White is kind of in the same situation. I believe the New Zealander has reached a point where he might be showing his frustration. Because I know he did his job, but it doesn't mean he did his job well. And it felt like he was frustrated during the match. He won the match. He's got 3 points, or is it 6 points? Wait a minute, did he get 6 points or 3? I think he got 6 points. Yeah, he got 6 points now. So he's up on there. And when it comes to Jay Lethal, he still has no points, but this is only his second match. He still has 3 more to go. Next match he has to win, or he's done, but he'll still be allowed to wrestle in the Continental Classic, which is no better than Mark Briscoe. But I'm wondering, is Jay White that frustrated that is now showing in his actual performing in the ring? That's just me, guys. Comment below. Now, let me give it to you like this. The final match. I still don't agree with it. It should be at World's End. This should have happened at World's End. And then they can springboard going into next year. But they chose not to do it. They chose because they were in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. They chose to do it here. The TNT Championship of Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Now, I knew they were going to both put on a great match, which they did. They both know each other well. They both know how far they both can go. And I liked the match. Seeing that Adam stopped a nut shot and then started smashing a little bit of Christian Cage's hand was good. A little joint manipulation was good. Then what did we get near the end of the match? Adam Copeland bumps into the ref trying to avoid well, let me give it to you like this. Adam Copeland whacked the ref, and the Christian Cage nutshotted the ref after that, just to completely incapacitate him. So what would happen? That he can go get the title and try to nail Adam with it, which didn't work. Adam managed to stop him. But then because Adam was dazed and he did manage to really nail a Christian Cage well enough that he was dazed himself, we get Nick Wayne's mother, Shayna, I believe, Shayna Wayne, walks down to the ring. And I said, oh, I know what this is about. I know what this is about. I know, it's obvious. It's not about her 100% joining a Christian Cage. I know why she did it. She jumps into the ring. She grabs the title. She's looking at Christian, and and let me give it to you. The commentator is saying, uh-oh, she's going to go at him. She's going to hit him. And I said, no, she's not. In the head, Adam Copeland gets nailed. She falls to the mat. She gets back up. She fixes her hair, straightens her clothes, looking as sexy as she is. Walks out of the ring, says nothing to Christian. He decides after that to grab the title, put it under the face of Adam Copeland, and stomps that shit. Boom! Stomps his head. I think he does it twice. No, once. And then he stands on top of him after he pulls the title out and holds it over his head. And then he kicks him again, I believe. Turns him over. The ref pins him. Well, the ref counts and he's pinned and it's over. Here's the thing. That was a good ending. A good written ending, which doesn't end anything. Because Adam Copeland is not finished yet. He's not done. So he will still come after Christian Cage. But the problem here is this. This was done in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Not a World's End. And I'm not saying about the Quebec fans being an issue. Or Montreal. You know what I mean. I'm just saying simply. Am I combining Montreal and Quebec? I think I'm combining Montreal and Quebec. It was Montreal. But I'm telling you this, guys. When you see this needed to be at a pay-per-view. This needed to have some type of importance to it. Now, mind you, I do understand why they did it. 2 reasons. One, they were in both their countries. Christian and Adam both in their home country. And one of them in their own hometown. I believe, was it Adam in his hometown? I can't remember. I think it is. But they were there. And it would be a waste not to do it. To get a good pop, a good rating, hopefully. Because people like to see them in Canada. And I also understand if they're going to do something even bigger by World's End. Because this doesn't mean it's over. At this point, when they do Dynamite again next week, you may actually see that Shayna Wayne may now join a Christian Cage. You never know. She may join him. Or she may do something entirely different and join someone else. My guess is she'll join Christian Cage. So it's understandable they want to build into it so he gets a second chance, which could culminate at World's End by the end of the month. I can understand why he did it. But does it mean it had to be that way? No. Do I agree with it? Not completely, no. But I understand why they did it. And it will give some people some interest, particularly that, I believe her name is Shayna Wayne. She did what she did. But that's just me. Peace.